Hello, everybody. Brad Johnson here, and welcome to another episode of the Akashic Intelligence Report. We do have a few other topics that we're going to be looking into today. So again, I'm going to be tuning into the Akashic Records. If you have not seen the Akashic Intelligence Report before, I suggest tuning into some of the previous episodes so you get an idea of how the Akashic Intelligence Report works, how I'm able to retrieve information through the Akashic Records and share this information with everybody here on YouTube. So again, thank you for being here. We're going to go ahead and start off firstly with the first topic of DOGE. Okay, we're going to take a look at DOGE because there are a lot of people that talk about DOGE and Elon Musk, and they may ask questions like, I wonder if Elon Musk is really running the United States and maybe Trump is just his sidekick. With the work that DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, is doing, you wonder if maybe Elon Musk is secretly the leader and Trump is just kind of following along. So we're going to look into that a little bit about representing DOGE and see what they really are all about and Elon Musk's role. So that might be a second Akashic algorithm, but we'll take a look here. Okay, so let's tune into DOGE here. It's kind of like Elon has leeway, right? He has a lot of stroke. I wouldn't say he's a leader. He's basically just able to do what he wants. So he doesn't want the presidency, of course, but he has so much stroke. He has so much leeway. He can basically run the entire country if he wants to, but he does it kind of in an unofficial way, or he does it in a way that represents DOGE. So this is why a lot of people may think, well, Elon here, I don't know, he just has a lot of stroke, he has a lot of leeway. You kind of wonder if it's maybe him that's actually being the leader of the United States. He could actually be, just not in a presidential light, so to speak, but through his own light that he's doing. He's basically been given so much lay because Elon has so many connections to the off-worlders. Okay, so he is very much in cahoots with a lot of the off-world administration, you could say. Elon and the off-worlders are kind of like this. Okay? He's actually been given permission. He has clearance in that way. He has a lot of clearance for, quote-unquote, a civilian, right? But he's not really a civilian. He has a lot of stroke. He has a lot of capability. He's able to basically do whatever he wants, right? He can actually interfere in other people's, or other countries, I should say, in other countries' elections. He can run investigations and so forth. He has no jurisdiction. This is why he basically doesn't have an official government capacity, because that would restrict him to a country, right? So this is why he's running DOGE, yes, but that's not something that would hamper his ability to continue to help other countries. So he has kind of like this worldwide, I guess you could say, almost like a crown. He has this like crown jewel upon himself, and he's just able to pretty much do anything. The richest man in the world, I guess that's your privilege, right? He's like the head of a meritocracy, and he's able to basically just do whatever he feels like he wants to do, right? If he basically ventures off, where he has agreed to bring about the duties that he has said he's going to do, well, then he'll probably get a talking to with the off-worlders. But this man basically has connections with ETs. This man has connections with a lot of influential people, both on planet and off planet, right? That's Elon Musk's prerogative, I guess you could say. So yes, he's doing a lot of stuff, but I would say he's actually doing a lot more deeper work than Trump is. Okay, Trump is basically focused on the USA, right? That's his jurisdiction. Elon is focused more on the entire world. Okay, so there's the difference there, but he doesn't have any particular type of leadership capacity. He doesn't have an official title in that way. He's just Elon, right? This is why he was involved in Canadian affairs, I think he was involved in German affairs as well too. He'll probably get involved in quite a few other things because he has a very large goal in mind. He's assisting with the re-terraforming of the planet Earth, okay? Because this is what I've talked about, is that off-worlders are working together with many other different, you could say, sources that are actually helping to re-terraform the entire planet, okay? Which means everything pertaining to this despicable, corrupt matrix that has overtaken the Earth for a very, very long time is being dismantled. And Elon is being kind of like the power player that's helping in the dismantling of this old, corrupt, archaic matrix, right? Where the idea of success and failure or truth and falsehood is just basically a blurry line, and taking all of that down. So he has a lot of power. He has a lot of influence. He has a lot of authority, both on-world and off-world. So I would say to those people that have asked, is it true that maybe Elon is really the one in charge? I would say yes. His ability, his capability, what he is able to do is far beyond what Trump can do. Okay, Trump is basically, he's localized. He's localized to the United States. That's his role. Elon's a much more bigger figure, right? Elon Musk has basically more stroke than any particular politician or world leader on this planet, right? He's wearing the crown jewel. So there you go. That's what I'm getting from the Akashic Records about Elon Musk. He can do pretty much whatever the hell he wants, right? So he's in agreement with a lot of the off-worlders. Now, some people may say, well, is he working for the dark forces? He used to have that particular type of role, yes. But he's not there anymore, right? He's come over, he's kind of switched, he's done a switcheroo, so to speak, right? So we're kind of coming back full circle here. Not a very good arrow, but there you have it. He's kind of coming back full circle. He's working together with this because he has seen exactly how the corruption on this planet has unfolded. He's always been a very big advocate about making sure that AI doesn't go as far as to weaponize itself, but of course there is already a lot of AI weaponization that is actually being dismantled by task forces. Okay, so you basically have to go in with some very sophisticated off-world equipment, and if there has been some rogue AI or again other particular forms of weaponized AI technology, because believe me, that has been around for many decades. That's not something that's new. And they basically have to take task forces in here and dismantle it, right? Utilizing certain type of advanced, you could almost say like, I don't know, it's electromagnetic pulse or even something beyond that, to basically dismantle these particular types of AI systems that were being used for dominating purposes, right? So this is why he's been a very big spokesperson of not letting AI be the head of the devil, so to speak, right? So that's what I get for DOGE. Now, DOGE itself, that's, I think, a second thing that I'm going to look into about the Department of Government Efficiency. If there's something a lot more that they are doing than just working with what they claim, right? Just being a Department of Government Efficiency. It's going to branch into something greater, okay? Right now it is what it says it is, a Department of Government Efficiency, going in and scrubbing clean a lot of these corrupt systems, you could say, within government. Or, they say that they're trying to free up a lot of money. That's all for show. They are literally dismantling money laundering schemes. They're dismantling a lot of cyber criminal activity that a lot of the cabals have used, specifically within the United States. But this DOGE is going to branch itself out a little bit more down the road. I feel like it's going to extend to other countries. I don't know if it'll still be called DOGE, but they're basically going to create branches. There's going to be different branches, and it'll almost be like a type of Interpol, right? It's almost like international police, but it's like quote unquote government efficiency, GE. But it's going to headline across many different countries, many different nations. So eventually the idea of DOGE, because Elon Musk can do this, is he's branching it off into different countries. It's going to be branched off into different nations, not right away, but in time, this is going to be kind of like an Interpol. It's going to be very much international for what it can do, and he's going to work to head other particular divisions in other countries with them doing the same type of work that DOGE is doing. But this whole idea of thinking that, oh, we're just going to save people trillions of dollars and stuff like that, that's all for show. That's a bunch of garbage. Really, the United States is pretty much broken. They really can't do anything to reverse that. They are so deeply drowning in debt that is irreversible. And they try to tell the people that, oh, we're getting money back, because they're basically trying to bring about a universal income. And that will happen soon as well, too. Maybe that'll be something I'll talk about in a future. Akashic Intelligence Report is about universal income, okay? But the whole idea of them saving billions and hundreds of billions or trillions of dollars in that sense, that's not the purpose of why they're doing this. This is basically counteracting cyber attacks and basically being able to get cabal activity out of their networks and exposing people and arresting them and so forth. There's a lot more. It's more of an investigation committee than anything else. So there's a lot more going on than just the idea of having a bunch of these hacker young nerds coming into offices and say, oh, stick a thumb drive in here and see what you're up to. Like, that's for show. Okay, that's the in front of the scenes, three-ring circus, juggling balls, right? Well, something deeper is happening back there. So there's a lot more to it than a bunch of young nerds coming in and sticking thumb drives in secretaries' computers. And that's the entertainment aspect of DOGE. There's a lot more to it that's a lot more deeper than what we're being shown. So there you go. There's the lowdown pertaining to DOGE. Maybe we'll talk more about it in the future with more feedback from all of you. All right, let's go ahead and move on. Next thing we're going to be talking about is the Western Canada and USA merging, okay? So there's a lot of discussion on social media right now that Alberta is looking to sign up to be part of the United States, not just Alberta, but basically BC, Alberta, and Saskatchewan. Okay, how does SASK? Okay, these three provinces have a very keen interest in joining the USA. Okay, could that happen? Could there be the idea that the western side of Canada wants to join in with the United States, and maybe the rest of Canada will follow suit? What's the whole situation that's unfolding there? Is this something that could actually happen? So let's take a look at the Akasha and just see about this possible merging between Western Canada and the United States, and see what the Akasha has to say about this, okay? No. It's a nice idea, but that's not what's happening right now, okay? There's a lot of people that want that. Unfortunately, that's not how this is looking to play itself out, right? It's not about trying to merge Canada with the US. It's about creating a union, okay? So there's a lot of talk, and like I said, there's a lot of people that are excited about the idea of Canada and USA being one country. With all due respect, that's really impossible at this particular point, because you have two entirely different countries working in two entirely different ways. And there isn't that cohesion that is necessary for that to happen. What I've been talking about is much more of a North American union, okay? So the NAU. So they're going to go on with this for quite a bit, okay? And I'm sure it may be exciting for a lot of people about BC, Alberta, and Saskatchewan looking to join in with the US. But as I'm tuning into this, I'm feeling that there's a lot of complications. And even trying to make something like that happen. Trump would love it, but it's not going to happen, okay? So like I said, there's too much paperwork, there's too much red tape, there's too much politics, there's too much policy, there's too much procedures, there's too much all of these things that kind of, it's like a ball of wire, right? Trying to figure it all out. They couldn't really do this, not right now, and that's not really what's looking to happen. There will be the opportunity for Canada and the US and Mexico to basically operate as if they are one country, but they will still keep their own type of sovereignty intact. Canada is going to remain as a country, okay? But as it remains as a country, there's going to be a lot of leeway. Here we go with that special word of the day, the leeway, okay? So Canada, USA, and Mexico will still have their own independence, as it were, as countries, but they'll be kind of in cahoots with each other. you'll be able to have Canadians coming to the United States with no problem. They won't need a passport. They won't need any of that stuff because there's going to be a North American Union. Okay. So that is really what we're kind of waiting for right now, is get past this whole 51st state stupidity, because that's not happening. First of all, you have a multitude of different territories and provinces in Canada, so you can't have a 51st state, right? That's just a little slang term, a little buzzword that they've created about a 51st state. No. And people are buying into it. Hey, well, Canada's going to join the United States. They're just going to be this. Well, no. It's not going to work that way, okay? This is all about working with a North American Union. So Canada, USA, Mexico. Just like we have a European Union, there's going to be a North American Union. But this is still going to take some time for this to get off the ground. And I've talked about this on my webcasts about North American Union. I've even asked about that, okay, is it true that maybe we'll have a few provinces in Canada that may actually want to join the United States? I said, this doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. There's so much more to it that needs to unfold before anything like this happens. And with all of the paper trails and red tape and just calamities that both countries have faced, you would need to take years and years and years for something like that to even be a possibility. So it's not impossible, maybe. It feels kind of impossible on the surface because it's like a big ball of yarn. It's like, oh my God, I'm looking at this ball of yarn. It's going to be impossible to ravel this, right? Well, it's not really impossible. Just you see it on the surface. It's going to take an extremely long time. It feels impossible, but it's not really. I'm not going to try and waste my time trying to, uncover this whole big ball of yarn that's going on here. It's not going to work. Or, wire mesh. Just taking all that time, it's impossible. I can't do it right now. That's kind of what I'm talking about, right? It's such a mess to try and get the provinces of Canada to come together with the United States. There's so much involved, and people don't seem to realize that. So that is not what's happening, okay? As I look towards the future, even when I look down with Canada, right? Is Canada still going to be Canada? Let's take a look at that, right? If Canada is still going to be Canada. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Canada's going to be around for a very long time. Okay, Canada's not going anywhere. Okay, Mexico's still going to be what it is. And I'll even look at that as well, too. What about Mexico? Is Mexico going to still be what it is as well, too? Yep. Not going anywhere. They're still going to be here. There's still going to be a Canada. There's still going to be a United States. There's still going to be a Mexico. Okay, but they'll have leniencies with each other. And those leniencies are that you're able to cross the border with no problem because you're basically a North American Union citizen, right? So it'll really look like that, which means there needs to be like almost a whole new constitution that will be put together, whether it's a constitution or other particular type of legislature that happens. That's what the feeling is, okay? But this is not going to happen for quite some time yet. It could still be, 2 to 4, maybe 5 years, between 2 to 5 years, I would say, around that ballpark figure. Because Canada is starting to feel like they have to hate the Americans are starting to feel like they have to hate Canada, and now they have to start feeling like they have to hate Mexico, and then Mexico has to hate them, and then have to hate them, but if you have to hate me, we'll hate you, and then I'll hate you back. No, but if I hate you first, no, but if I hate you first. It's a playground bully situation. It's stupid. Right? This is why I say this whole trade war, it's not a trade war. It's a trade, I don't know what you call it, right? It's more like a trade bickering. It's not a trade war, okay? It's a trade bickering. It's just these, you can call them leaders that are basically trying to flex each other's muscles, right? And just go in the room and say, well, whose Johnson is bigger here, right? And I don't mean offense to that since my last name is Johnson, but so there you go. But that's all it is. It's a flexing of muscles. Oh, we're not going to back down to you. We're strong. Oh, yeah, well, I'm stronger. Oh, I'm stronger. It's like, okay, well, let's have an arm wrestling contest, and maybe you guys can get through your egomaniacal situation here, okay? This is all for show with the whole trade war, right? It's not a trade war. It's a trade bickering. It's really what it is. But they're trying to make it out like it's some deeply horrible thing. They're trying to say that this is the COVID of the trade situation. No, it's nothing like that. Like I said, this is a candle. And at probably after a couple of months, that candle's going to get blown out. Okay? It's just few dumb world leaders flexing their muscles, trying to feel who's got the bigger muscle here. And that's what it's all about. It's just, it's a farce than anything else, more than anything else, okay? Pretty much all of these countries are already broke. So, like I said, I think to me, it just feels like this is a stalling. They're stalling for something. They're basically just trying to say, hey, look at me, look at me, look at me, while there's stuff happening back here. And maybe that's the integration of a North American Union. But to me, this is a clown show. This whole trade deal situation between the United States and Canada and Mexico and China and all that, it's still exposing more about what's actually happened, right? Canada's like saying, oh, we're just going to go into business with China. Are you kidding me? Canada has pretty much been called China-da for about the past decade and a half, for as long as Trudeau's been in power. That's nothing new. They're just exposing themselves. Oh, we're going to go into deals with China. You've been in cahoots with China for a decade and a half, dude. So please, don't be pulling everybody's leg thinking that China is some new thing, right? Canada has basically been called China-da, right? So that's just, again, it's here's the three-ring circus. Here we go, right? Here's the rings. Here's Justin Trudeau on a unicycle, right? Juggling bowling pins that have TNT with them. He drops, he'll blow up. And people seem to be cheering him on, hoping that he'll drop them. Oh, there you go. So there you go. It's a three-ring circus, and that's what all this is about. So unfortunately, no, it's not about Canada being dissolved as a country and joining the United States. That is not what is going to happen, okay? It is not about Mexico being dissolved and joining the United States. Will not happen that way. It is Canada, the US, and Mexico, still with their own connections as countries, but joining together as one, okay? That's the North American Union. That's where it's leading to. Now, maybe they'll give it another name, who can say? But this is something that's been talked about for quite a few decades, about having Canada, the United States, and Mexico joining forces. But of course, we had cabals in charge for so many decades. That's the last thing they want, because that's cooperation and unification, okay? But that is exactly where things are headed. So North American Union or something of that nature, yes. Canada merging with the US, no. So let's move on. Now I had a question. I had another question as well too. This is just a little bit of an add-on to Canada as well too. One of my subscribers was asking, well, Brad, what about the whole power out situation that Doug Ford has been threatening the Americans with? Well, my reaction is, that's my reaction to him. He's trying to be ballsy, but he doesn't have it. Right? He says, oh, yeah, we have the power to shut down their... Yeah, but no, you're not going to do that. You're basically going to cause all kinds of catastrophe. You're going to lose a lot of money, and it's not going to hurt. It's not going to help your whole cause anyways. So this is why he's just... that guy has, no offense, that guy has had a reputation of being a serious drunk. So, like I said, I think he's basically doing bar talk, right? He's having bar conversation. Oh, Trump doesn't knock this off, I'll close off the electrical grid and the Americans won't have any power on the East Coast. Like, no, man. Sit down and shut up, okay? Okay, sure. That's basically it. He's been notorious for a guy who talks the talk, but he doesn't walk the walk. So, and it's even as they were reporting as well too, Trump had a conversation with him, and he has no intention of doing that. He was even saying that from the get-go. I have no intention of doing that. Yeah, like I said, he tries to think he's all ballsy and he's got all this might, and then someone calls him out on that. Yeah, okay, fine, I'll sit down. And that's the whole situation. So no, that was never going to happen anyways. Okay. Anyways, let's go to the Philippines. Okay, so again, I had a subscriber ask about their situation in the Philippines, that things are getting pretty out of control. Their government is turning more and more into a dictatorship. And as I've said on my webcasts going back quite a few years, this is supposed to happen. This is supposed to happen for many countries. We will look into the Philippines here in a moment, but that is exactly what's supposed to happen. It's meant to throw all this fire, to light a big inferno under the butts of the people, so that they get up and they stand up and revolution comes together. This is all about inciting revolution. This is the universe telling you guys, how much are you going to put up with this government that is acting more and more totalitarian every single day? You're just going to sit by and let it happen? Okay, well, we're going to make things worse for you. We're going to amp up the flames. We're going to stoke the fire even more. We're going to stoke this fire so hot that you won't be able to stand for it anymore. And behold, here's a revolution. Okay? And that is what's been happening for so many different countries all across the planet. Because I get all these questions, Brad, what about my country? What about my country? What about my country? Same thing, same thing, same thing, same thing, same thing. Okay? It's all just stoking this fire so that people have had enough. They're not going to put up with this anymore. They're not tolerating anymore. And then en masse, there's a critical mass that takes place, and that fuels great change. And then you see them get dismantled. But then human beings start getting afraid because things start getting dismantled, even though you asked for greater change, right? Do you think that greater change is just going to kind of skip a beat and just say, just have them fade into the mists, right? Don't worry about having to do all this other uproar with our own country or anything like that. Just have them kind of fade off into the mists. They're not just going to fade off into the mists, okay? They are going to break themselves down. And when they are, this is exactly why they're acting the way that they are, right? They're acting in this way in a totalitarian type mentality, stronger every day because they're breaking down, because they're losing control, because they can't win over the people, because their lies aren't working anymore. They are falling apart, right? So let's take a look at the Philippines here and see what's happening with them. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a slow but surely process. There's still a lot of people that are afraid of their government, but it's leading into something better. It's kind of like we're creating breadcrumbs here, right? There's breadcrumbs that are happening here. More people are starting to stand up. I think there needs to be more worse situations happening in the Philippines before many of you stand up and bring about a revolution, okay? So that's really what needs to happen here. And I'm just sharing this just through the energies of what's happening here, is that there needs to be more of a standing up. We're kind of following the trail of breadcrumbs, but it's going to lead into more of a bigger climax. Maybe it's a big scandal. Maybe there's something that's come out into the light pertaining to leadership or the party involved or the Philippines. I don't follow too much of the Philippine politics, okay? But it feels like there needs to be a gigantic scandal, something that's groundbreaking, something that's monumental. It's just an explosion of what's happening in the Philippines relating to leadership. They're caught in the act, they're caught red-handed, and people are outraged, and they will say, get out of here, right? So the Philippines, I feel, in the next little while, it's not going to be too long, you're going to be taken to the streets. There will be thousands, hundreds of thousands of you taking to the streets, demanding that these leaders be taken out of power, and it's going to happen, okay? So it will lead into a country-sized revolt. That's what things are leading to. But right now, you're still kind of following the breadcrumbs. Okay, so what I can tell from here, it's telling me there's a lot of situations that need to unfold first. It's not going to happen right away. There's more of an unfolding of sequences that need to take place. But this is going to lead to some sort of gigantic scandal that's happening in the Philippines where people have had enough, and en masse, they're going to take to the streets. And here you go, you see revolution. And you're seeing these leaders being thrown out, right? Being ousted. And then perhaps a new election comes together, a leader that's much more in alignment with the people comes together, and the Philippines celebrate, right? So there's something that is going to happen, but like I said, it's not right away. For my feeling is it feels like there's quite a bit of dancing around. Usually when I'm making patterns like this is telling me there's a lot of running around, there's a lot of, gotta follow a lot of the paper trails, a lot of sequences need to happen first, but this will lead to a resolve. And so it's coming. Now, they may ask, well, Brad, how long do you think this will be? I don't really like to give dates. I can give rough approximations. I would say maybe about a year and a half, maybe around there, okay? That's not ironclad, so don't hang your hat on that. But like I said, there's quite a few things that need to be done first. So that the Philippines can now start to throw out their old leader and now start to live as a independent people, okay? That time is going to happen for the people in the Philippines, okay? So that's what I have to share about that.
Sign up today for a live session with Brad Johnson or experience a powerful interaction with the multidimensional consciousness, Adronis. Explore Akashic Record sessions to look deeper into other lifetimes. Explore the full body scan that analyzes all facets of your multidimensional body. Look into the energy cord attunement that cuts away stagnant tendencies. View our online courses and take part in our weekly Adronis Patreon classes with a free 7-day trial. Book today at wisdomtransmissions.com.
What do the stars have planned for you? Find out at predictmyastrology.com. Sign up for a free personalized daily Vedic horoscope and see what your cosmic blueprint has in store for you. Order a personal mantra meditation reading to empower your energy. Explore love compatibility readings, get answers with an astrology question report, or dive deep with topic-based insights. Discover what's ahead with your 2025 annual report, or experience the all-in-one deluxe report. Let us predict your astrology. Visit predictmyastrology.com.
Next, we'll be looking at the final topic, and that is human guardians and the moon. So, I've talked about this for quite some time on my live webcasts on Wednesdays, okay, which is the Wisdom Transmissions Live. So, human guardians and the moon. So this is what I'm talking about. And a lot of people may have a hard time swallowing this, but we have a lot of civilizations on the moon, okay? And like I said, I've talked about this because I always go deep into these things. And, there may be other readers, viewers, psychics, intuitives, mediums, Akashic readers, so to speak, who can feel this as well too. And we've also had a lot of remote viewers working for the government who have remote viewed the moon. Actually, and many of them tell them, don't remote view here, whatever you do. Don't you dare remote view the moon. Why? Can't tell you, but don't you dare do it. Right? So they'll get a lot of, I think that was back in around the 70s, 80s, maybe the early 90s. Don't you dare remote view this. Okay, you are not allowed to remote view the moon. Because a lot of stuff that's been happening, if the moon's just a dead form, what's the harm in doing? Shut up. Don't you dare do it. You do it, you're going to get jail time. Right? Okay, jeez. I mean, it's a dead celestial body. I don't know what you're so worried about. And then, of course, through a lot of other independents, they've discovered that the moon is full of technology. The moon is full of, you could say, resorts. There are civilizations that live on the surface inside the craters, inside the moon as well, too. I've estimated approximately 40 different civilizations that have lived on the moon for a very, very long time. But it is also going through a very sophisticated cleanup right now. Okay, I'm not too sure if Ingo Swann ever remote viewed the moon. I can't remember. I remember he remote viewed Jupiter, right? And he was the one that actually said there's rings around Jupiter. And then, of course, they sent probes out there and they confirmed exactly what he said. But I can't remember if he talked about the moon at all or anything of that nature. But again, I have looked at the moon many different times, not just through Akashic reading, through channeling, through just psychic perception and so forth. And it is loaded with life. It is loaded with ancient technology. The moon may actually even be older than Earth. That's the funny thing, right? Earth is billions of years old. The moon's billions of years old as well, too. It is an ancient celestial body. Okay? And through a lot of my communications and connections with the moon, there are beings that are currently inhabiting the moon referred to as the human guardians, okay? Which means they hold a genetic resemblance to ourselves many thousands of years in the future, right? That's kind of what we could say. Some of them do come from different worlds. Some of them are us for many thousand years in the future. And they have a very key role of utilizing the moon as kind of an intelligence lookout area, okay? And Adronis has talked about this, the being that I channel from Sirius, has talked about this, I think, going back to maybe about 2017, 2018, maybe even earlier than that, about these human guardians, and that they're actually coming onto the moon and they are dismantling a lot of the old technologies that were being used to basically manipulate, you could say, the emotional states, mental states of human beings upon the planet. So if you're kind of seeing the Earth here, and you're seeing the moon here, the moon had specific technology, and it would create these particular types of fields. Again, I'm not trying to be scientific here, I'm just trying to state it in the layman's term, okay? They have a lot of these fields that would bombard the Earth and making the Earth almost like a type of hypnotic suggestion, okay? Making it completely and totally under the control of a lot of the technologies that were riding on the moon, right? That would make people a lot more antsy, make people a lot more agitated. It's almost like you could say psychic interference, okay? Basically working together with magnetic technology, electromagnetic technology, etheric technology, electromagnetheric technology, frequencies, vibrations, frequency vibrations that come throughout these waves and are basically creating this particular type of field across the planet, keeping people in the dark, okay? So what a lot of the human guardians have been doing is they've been taking that and lessening the intensity of that particular field, okay? You can't just shut it off all the way because that would be irreparable, right? And that's one of the things that they've shared. So we can't just turn this technology off. It's like you're just going cold turkey off, intense medication. You would go insane, okay? We can't just turn the field off. It has to be minimalized in kind of smaller doses over time, right? So it's very much like looking at psychiatric medicine in that way. Or again, big pharma meds, right? You don't just pull yourself off of that. You can have unbelievable consequences. You can't just pull this field off of the earth. You would have unbelievable consequences. And so basically, I think it was around 2019, 2020, something around there where they were working on pulling that out. But this apparently does take quite a few years to thin out, right? You have to thin out the entire bombardment of the, you could say, hypnotic field. I'll just call it that. The hypnotic field that has been around the Earth through the moon for a very long time. And of course, the orbits of the planets are actually feeding the power of this as well, too. It's actually feeding off planets. It's feeding off the sun. There's a lot of power sources that it's utilizing. Influences that it's utilizing as well, too, in regards to the trajectory of how the planets are arranged to utilize this particular type of technology. So basically, if this is the thickening of the beam here, and right now it's 2025, so it might be like this now, okay? So going from this to about this. This is why there's been such a surge. This is why there's been such an upheaval taking place on the planet. This is why the majority of human beings are standing up to corrupt government, right? The thinning of this band. If this band was still like this, we would not have as much intensity as we would on this planet right now. So we're seeing a very thin band. It's still there a little bit, but nowhere near as thick as it was looking at it a few years ago, okay? So we're gonna take a look at an update, and I did that just for people who are watching this channel for the first time and say, what the hell is this guy talking about with human guardians on the moon, okay? Like I said, guys, I look very, very deep into things. I'm not just looking at things on the surface. I go deep and I look into these really deep things. And a lot of the things that we think are fictional are actually the truth. Whereas things that we often think are non-fictional and much more mediocre are lies. So there you go. It's going back to that old saying, truth is stranger than fiction, right? So let's take a look at the human guardians about what's going on right now pertaining to their situation with the moon. Okay, here we go. A lot of cleanup is taking place, so there feels like there's a purging going on, okay? So there's a lot of these old groups that, again, were responsible for seeding a lot of these cabals that are on the planet, and they're basically just being pulled off. They're being yanked out of there, taken off the moon, and being cleared out, okay? There is a major cleanup that's been happening on the moon for quite some time, and so there's a lot more of these races that are kind of coming and going because they're not being part of treaties. There are some of these particular races that could be seen as, I don't think if I can say the word, right? Capital T, capital E, capital R, capital O, capital R, and then ists, okay? That's for censorship reasons, okay? So they have been those particular types of T groups, and that's what I'll just refer to them as, right? And a lot of them are being purged out. There is a lot of riffraff in this star system, and they have come here and they have seeded and planted a bunch of ridiculous garbage into human beings' mind going back many centuries, trying to get these particular factions to war with each other, right? These are all intentional. A lot of these things are Basically, some of them are extraterrestrial seeded. Some of them, of course, are based on supernatural connections to the deeper understandings of what's going on with the world. As I talked about, it all comes down to one man, right? The one man. Now, some people have been asking me about the one man and saying, Brad, is this Enlil from like the Sumerian legend? No. You got to get out of that. Unfortunately, guys, a lot of that information is conjecture, and a lot of that information is allegory. That's like looking in your Bible and thinking that every particular story in the Bible is 100% fact. And it's not. When you're looking at the tales of the Anunnaki going back into the Sumerian legends, those are allegories. That is not the truth of how things are. Okay? This has nothing to do with Enlil or Enki or anything of that nature when I'm talking about the one man. Okay? Maybe there's something that that person represents of trying to fabricate those particular stories to make it feel like they're real. No, this is someone that we have not heard of, as I've told you. It is not somebody who you've heard about in books or anything of that. It is one man. Okay, and we do not know too much about what he is. I don't even know that. I can't tell you, right? When I'm tuning into him, it's just like these layers of fog around. I can't really tune in. All I know is that he's male, he's an adult, right? I can't say if he's 100% human. That's going to be a mystery that we have to kind of work together to resolve, but everything comes down to one man, okay? And no doubt, I would say that one man had cahoots, connections with these particular civilizations beyond our world. But anyways, going back into the Akasha, what's happening right now is there is a complete and total purging of the riffraff on the moon, and the moon is also going through repopulation. It's going to be reseeded. It's going to be moving into a whole new alignment, and in time, there will actually be talks where humans can actually go on the moon and start to colonize. Okay, that will be part of its future. It's still working that out right now. But the moon will be one particular celestial body that they'll be able to colonize. And of course, Elon Musk's so gung-ho about Mars, right? Maybe there's something there too. Like, why does Elon Musk want to go to Mars so bad? Okay. It's because that's where a lot of his contacts are from, right? A lot of his contacts are Martian in that nature, right? Or basically have had connections with Mars. They're basically promising him a lot of things when it comes to Mars, right? And he's excited about that. We're looking at ancient technologies being revealed. We're looking at ancient structures, ancient pyramids, ancient installations. He's going to be taken on a grand tour of Mars. It's actually true. Certain human groups are being invited to go to Mars, right? So then we got some stuff here for you. We got some stuff we want to show you. We got some stuff that maybe you could use to advance your culture. And we do want you to come to Mars, okay? It's an invitation. And that's actually very real. You always think it's maybe it's bunk or something like that. They're just trying to be like NASA. No, this is different. This is Elon Musk's off-world space buddies that basically want him to come to Mars because they have a lot to show him. They have a lot to reveal to him. This is why he's so gung-ho about going to Mars. Oh my God, I'm going to look at ancient technology. I'm going to look at all this stuff. I don't know if he's being duped or what, but you know, he wants to go to Mars so badly because he's got a personal invitation to go there, right? So there you go. And in time, there's going to be a personal invitation, perhaps for another group, to go to the moon, right? And actually start to colonize there. Because what they're actually going to start doing is they're doing this because they want to get all of this out because they know that very soon humanity is going to hit the stars. There's going to be advanced technologies where they'll be able to go beyond the moon and start moving off into other planets. They're getting the star system ready for them. Same thing with the asteroid belt. The asteroid belt, like again, here's Earth, here's Mars, here's the asteroid belt right here, and of course we have Jupiter over here. The asteroid belt is also going to have certain forms of sanctions where human beings can actually park themselves, so to speak, on certain asteroids and actually start mining, okay? So there is a very big solar system cleanup taking place. So the human guardians are working with the moon, and like I said, a lot of them are us from the distant future. There are other humans from other planets as well, too, that are a part of it. But they're looking to clean up this whole thing so that this particular band can be this thin, right? But like I said, it needs to be taken down with time because it's a lot more sophisticated than just big pharma meds, right? But again, we have the asteroid belt here. And so we have a lot of different asteroids, and there will be actually communications from off-worlders to certain particular types of delegates on the planet saying, okay, you guys are allowed to mine this asteroid, but don't touch this one, don't touch this one. They'll actually be given a map and saying, here's certain asteroids that you're welcome to mine, okay? So that's going to happen in time, is there's going to be kind of like a mentorship. As humanity starts to become starbound, we'll have a little place here on the moon that will be allowed to do it, right? Scientists will give some type of excuse about how it's the best, energy efficient or best efficient area to colonize on the moon. It's just because that's the plot that you'll be given, that you can start a colony there on the moon. But don't you go beyond that. You're not allowed. That's other people's jurisdiction, okay? Same thing with Mars, right? A little spot on Mars. You're allowed to go there, but don't go beyond that. You're not allowed, okay? So that's really what they're being told, is that we'll give you these little patches because it's going to open up a greater revealing of yourselves as you start to go beyond the Earth, as you have that little patch on the moon, as you have that little patch on Mars, as you'll be given a few asteroids that you can mine. Maybe there's a lot of cobalt there, who knows? But you'll have these resources to you as you start to develop, but it's still just breadcrumbs because they're saying humans still need to grow up a little bit. So we're just giving them these little bits here because there's going to be a lot more information to help them understand about the seeding of their growth as they advance and start to become more starbound throughout their star system and working with a lot of the inner territory, right? What about Venus? Nope. Can't go near Venus yet. Venus is going to take a while. Okay, Venus is not some sulfuric acid, 700 degree Fahrenheit, whatever stuff that there's a lead melting planet. No, it's very much like Earth. Okay, but they're not allowed to go there yet. Venus is a different story. So right now you focus on the moon and you focus on Mars and a little bit of the asteroid belt, but that's all we're going to give you for now. More growing up needs to happen first before we can tell you more about Venus, about Mercury, about Jupiter, about the outer planets. Really, in that sense, they're actually potential suns. There's no such thing as gas giants. Gas giants are sun potentials, right? They are all potentialities for fusing themselves into suns, rather than the idea of just thinking that they're just large gas giants. They have that type of gas because they are configured to become stars. Some of them are ready, some of them are not. I'm not talking about this star system, but and many others as well too. Jupiter primarily has the greatest potential to be a sun in the greater distant future. Neptune, Uranus, not yet. Okay, so everybody, that is the Akashic Intelligence Report for this week. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll speak to you again in another perspective of the now. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure you give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and feel free to take part in the weekly webcast happening every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific time. Thanks for watching. Namaskar, and may it be well with you. Bye for now.
Let me hear the wisdom transmissions. The wisdom transmissions. So many voices, so many interpretations.